Welcome to MTMG's IT Roundtable, where we bring the power of human connections to the tech world. Our experts become part of your team, so whatever tech problem is keeping you up at night, we can help you solve it.
Joining us today is Amy Bailey. I've come across Amy years ago when she was at Tolaris, and she was always so gracious and so friendly. I was very excited when we started doing this podcast series about being part of the channel and things. I thought immediately of Amy and said, you know what? I wonder what she's doing these days. And so we asked her to come on board and hear how things are going for her, what she's doing, and where we're going to go from there. So, Amy, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So, why don't you tell the people listening who don't know you maybe a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I started working in the channel in the industry when I worked for my dad. His website was callaccounting.com. So for those of you old enough to know what a call accounting application is, it reports on a phone system and old PBX's calls. Ended up working for the manufacturer of the product that we sold, and then ended up getting bought by Tolaris. So Tolaris acquired a product called VXSuite. And I was the VP of marketing at VXSuite, and then came over suddenly and all of a sudden had 3 people on a team at Tolaris. And I was so excited. We had all this stuff to do, and we were scrappy and we were agile and we did lots of cool stuff. 7 years later, I was SVP of marketing when I left. I had 22 people on the team. I had a full television production studio, podcasting studio, around 150 events a year, did all kinds of crazy stuff, 400 suppliers to keep track of in terms of what they were doing with us and events and everything. And a lot of time away from home, a lot of time away from my family, and stopped and said, what do I really like to do? So I've broken my business up into 3 parts. The name of my company is Unusually Unusual Consulting. If you're a country music fan, go look up a song by Lone Star called Unusually Unusual. Anyway, so I really enjoy doing events. So I do small and large scale events, augment a supplier's events team or marketing team if they don't have an events person on their team. So I'm actually running events for a couple hundred, 400, 600 people, all the way down to incentive travel, president's clubs, trips to Jamaica, trips to Bermuda, trips to Sonoma, Key West, those kind of things. So I do a lot of that in terms of the event planning part. The second part, I've always had an affinity for partners. Coming from my dad, I know that it's hard for partners to have marketing and sales and chief bottle washer and trash taker outer, as a lot of the case may be. And so I like to help partners with their websites. I work with another company who does actually the wireframe and the design of the website, and I help them with content and get their message up to date, modern, and in a way that they feel proud to be able to go and get more business. And then the third thing I do in my business is I actually help do marketing consulting for some suppliers in the channel. So as they're trying to get their message out to channel partners, I help them with that. So a 3-pronged approach. Again, like to be scrappy, like to get my hands dirty and do the work. So pick the things that I like to do and the customers that I like to do them with, and have had a fun time the last couple of years.
That's fantastic. I'm happy to say I went to some of those Tolaris events, so it was all well done. So when you're working with suppliers and TSDs on their go-to-market strategies, how do you differentiate between high-level strategic planning and then the tactical execution that they might need to do?
Yeah, and they need to do both, right? It's not like you can do one without the other. And so we really sit down with them and figure out what are their goals, what are the KPIs, how do we get ROI, and then come up with the big picture strategy and then break that down into the steps that's going to take us to achieve those goals. And so if they're saying, I want to do a series of webinars, great. Okay, we need to figure out what those webinars look like, besides what you guys do with finding a title and a podcast, all the people that are involved with it. But then what are our goals? How many people do we need to get on the webinar? How many post-event follow-ups? What's our follow-up email campaign look like? All of those things have to be in place before you can really launch the webinar, because once it happens, then you have all these other steps that happen after it, right? Same thing with an event. We see so many people that buy a $20,000 booth to channel partners or an enterprise connect or a show, and then they come back and they go back to their regular jobs and they don't do anything after that show. And so really before you go to the show, you need to have that after event in place of come by our booth the days before the show, and then days after the show of thanks for coming by the booth, and we want to get in touch with you, and here's a site for our demo, and here's our next webinar, and all those things. So again, it really talks about starting at the top. What's the strategy? What are the KPIs? What are we going for? And then breaking that down into the steps and executing on those.
Well, I think that leads perfectly into a question that I wanted to ask, which is you help agents rebuild their websites and improve their marketing strategies. So, how do you ensure that those efforts lead to measurable growth for them?
Well, it varies for each agent, right? Some agents are like, "Hey, I already have a great line of business, but I don't wanna be embarrassed when my customers go to my website and find something." And so their strategy is really to have kind of more of a validation site. Then there are other partners who are maybe just starting out and like, "Hey, I need to go find leads." And so then we have to do some more steps after the website is built on what's our strategy gonna be? Are we gonna go on LinkedIn? Are we gonna do some ads? Are we gonna do some Google placements? Or is the Google My Business filled out? Like all of those kind of things to make sure that they're in the lead acquisition mode. So it depends on the goals of the agent as to what needs to happen. But then we sit down and come up with a plan. Some are doing like some blogging or some case studies of their current customers so that they can put that kind of content out there. Whereas others are really maybe not that far along and they're going with more of the Google ads.
Interesting. So, speaking of ads and things like that, so market development funds, MDF is always a big topic with agents trying to get MDF funds from suppliers. So, what advice do you give them to maximize the effectiveness of those funds?
I always joke that anybody can get MDF funds once. It's getting them over and over again. That's the hard thing to do, right? And the way that you do that is you show ROI to the supplier. So again, it's about sitting down ahead of time and saying, what are our goals in asking for this money and doing this activity? So it might be that it's a website and we're going to help them build their website and we're going to put information about that supplier on the website and we're going to give them information about how many clicks that they got or what kind of metrics that they're getting from the website. It might be that they're going to do a webinar. And so then it's going to be how many people sign up for the webinar, how many people attend the webinar, what's our post event strategy from the webinar. Maybe it's an in-person event. And so again, those same rules apply is what are we doing before to market the webinar or the in-person event? What kind of are we doing at the event? Are we letting the supplier take 15 minutes and pitch the product? Are we bringing up other engineers? And what are we going to do at the event to really show kind of an ROI there? But then also beyond that, what's our post-event follow-up? So if you sit down with the supplier and say, okay, I'm going to invite my 15 best customers to this event, and maybe I'm going to get 8 that show up there. And of those 8, I'm going to try to get you 6 demos. Like if that's the agree upon metrics, then that's fine. But if it's, I'm going to invite my best 15 customers and 2 show up, okay, that's okay. Can we still offer the supplier to get on some the calls and say, hey, you didn't make it to the event, but I would love to show you this great new product. It doesn't have to be all about the event. It's about developing a relationship and a go-to-market strategy with that supplier so that they feel like you're a partner in crime here and you're using their money wisely. So it's not a one and done, it's a continuing relationship.
It's funny, we've been talking to a number of people in this industry, and one of the things we built with this organization is all about building a community. That's part of what we're doing. Our consultants are all part of a community. Our clients are all part of that community. Our partners are all part of that community. And it's great to hear you focus that same way. It's for those funds, you want to build that long-term relationship to work together. So I think you're right on the money. So, but just now turning towards digital marketing, I know you have a lot of experience with social media planning. What platforms and tactics are currently providing the most effective IT channel marketing?
So LinkedIn by far is the most effective. It's where the business people are. It's where you can have those kind of conversations. Really, it's about the social media platform that you feel most comfortable on.
Mhm.
So if you're like, I hate LinkedIn, but I really love fill in the blank. I love TikTok. I am not ashamed to admit I like TikTok. I don't post a lot of TikTok. Sometimes if I'm at a country concert, I'll do a little video and post that or whatever. Fine. Okay. But at the same time, I think there could be a really interesting market if you are a big TikTok user and you want to go and put technology tidbits out there in a way that maybe is fun or interesting, you might be able to find an audience there. But it's going to work because it's native to you. You enjoy it. So I tell people like, if you're like, I hate TikTok, I don't want any part of it, then don't have a campaign around TikTok, right? If you hate LinkedIn, don't go do LinkedIn. I've seen some partners do some incredible things around Facebook. I'm a Gen Xer. There's a lot of people out there that are Gen Xers that are still on Facebook, that still like Facebook. And I think that the strategy of doing some humble brags could work around Facebook. Do you remember when we all started on Facebook? I think we're all the same age. We connected with everybody, right? I went to high school with that person. I need to connect on Facebook with them. I'm sitting in the little league stands with this parent. I'm going to connect with them. And a lot of times I have no idea what those people do. I knew them 30, 40 years ago, and they're in my network now, and they're going to see my posts perhaps, but I don't know what they do. So if I go out there and say, humble brag, I'm really excited. We just had this really difficult project at work. We fixed this customer's cybersecurity issue, or we helped this customer reconfigure their network. Then all of a sudden, the person that was sitting next to you at a little league field might go, I need that. I remember that person was really cool. I'm going to call them. But again, it's about what's instinctive and native to you. If that's a platform you like to use, then use it. If you hate all social media, I'm sorry, then just get on LinkedIn.
Right.
Yeah.
For the record, Paul's a lot older than me.
Okay, fair. Fair.
So,
Well, you're both
but
much older than me, so we're good.
very good. You touched on this a couple questions ago about ROI, and specifically with event ROI. You've got companies that are looking to invest in event planning, and there's a balance, right, between the experiential aspect of the event and then receiving a solid return on investment. So how do you help them to achieve that balance?
That's a good question. I think again, it goes back to the goals and what you're looking for from the event. I've had people say that golf is a total boondoggle. I will argue with you that golf develops relationships. And when people have a strong relationship with you, they're going to call you as their trusted advisor. And it doesn't really matter what you talked about on the golf course, but they trust you as a person. And so a lot of this is a relationship business, and that's what's important. But at the same time, if you say, you know what, I want to show some more definite ROI about these events, then we have to figure out a way to make them informative and educational for the people who are attending. So whether that's an engineer that's coming on, whether that's a product demo, whether that's a panel of other users talking about the challenges and the successes that they've had with the product, whatever that happens to be, you're going to have to figure out what works for you and the clients that you're inviting, and then figure out what that ROI is. It's hard to come up with that because people just think, well, I'm going to get all this money, all these sales out of this. And yet if you're doing a larger event strategy and you've got a golf tournament over here, and maybe you have a webinar over here or a series of webinars, and maybe you've got a couple of in-person events, one of the things that a lot of marketers struggle with is which event do I attribute the ROI success to? Because they came to all of them. Most marketers agree it's the last one, the last event that they touched that then spurred it is the one that's going to get credit for it. But it's really hard because you can't discount the 4 hours that you spent on the golf course. And then just because they came to the webinar last, it was a 30-minute touch. Why does the webinar get all that credit, right?
Mhm.
So it's about building relationships, and that's really what's going to matter in the end. And you're going to have to figure out what your KPIs are to then determine how you're going to kind of work backwards for that. So I don't have an exact answer to that, but it's one of those, it depends.
It's very similar to when companies do branding advertisements. There's no call to action, there's no nothing. They're just putting it out there for branding, but over time,
Right.
as you see it over and over again, it builds to that point where you're gonna get a call to action.
Exactly.
And I think you also hit it on the head that it is people driven. People do business with people.
They
You
do.
can build the greatest website, but if it isn't authentically speaking to what you do as an organization and what is your core ethos, then it's not going to really find the right people. But this
Right.
leads me to something that I've been thinking a lot about recently, and that's the future of channel marketing, specifically with IT, but where there's so much automation and AI derived content. How is your business specifically positioning itself to stay ahead of these trends?
For me, it's really about embracing AI, because I think that there's a lot of good that can come out of AI. You just have to know how to use it properly, right? And so I'm figuring out, how do I use ChatGPT or Dolly or write the prompts that I want to get the tone that I want to get the results that I want. I'll tell you that it will give me 80% of what I need, and then I have to go and develop the other 20% in a lot of cases. But again, I've worked in ChatGPT enough with the prompts and personas and things like that I've set it up for success so that I'm not going to get a bunch of delves, right? The worst thing that you can see in something is the word delve. Nobody uses the word delve in their regular conversation. But when
We're
I
going to
see
dive
something
deep
that's
into
like,
it.
we're going to delve into the conversation, I know ChatGPT wrote it, right? And so Mia knows that she can never use the word delve because I've taught her that.
Mhm.
right? So you name your chat GPT, you give it a persona, you explain what your standards are, and then you're going to get better quality work out of it. So I think that's how I set my business apart is I'm embracing it. There's a lot of talk out there of AI is going to replace people's jobs. I don't think AI will replace people's jobs, but people who know how to use AI will replace people who don't. And that's going to be the big differentiator.
Thoroughly agreed on that.
That that's a great point. So, Amy, you are the co-founder of the Channel Marketing Association.
I am.
So, what are the common challenges that the channel marketers face today, and how does the CMA, not the Country Music Awards, how does the Channel Marketing Association organization help to address them?
Yeah. When I first started in channel, I was like, again, working with my dad and then working with a really small company and then working with Tolaris. Well, when I got to Tolaris, I got to meet a lot of people who were working in different projects. And I had a lot of resources. And if I had questions, I could go ask of all of those suppliers. A lot of those suppliers feel very siloed because I can't call my competitor and ask what they're doing. I don't know other people in other channel marketing roles. And so CMA is a way to bring people together and share best practices. People in marketing are very warm, they're very open, they're very giving. They want to share their time and experience. And so what we've done is created a community platform. We use the Mighty Networks platform so they can log in, they can post a question, they can comment on other people's questions, they can answer polls, they can go watch past webinars. We've got all this information in there, but we've really created a home for people to come and get together. And that was really the most important part for us because otherwise you go to these shows, if you're the marketing person, you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, right? Because you've got a meeting room, you've got your booth, you've got your party later, you've got all these executives to keep track of. It's crazy. And so this is a way for people to say, okay, these are my people. These are where I can go and ask questions. And then they've got those resources available.
I think that's so critical today to have those additional resources or those people that you can lean on for additional
Yeah.
information. I think that's really, really important. I know during COVID, I made a number of contacts because we all had a little extra time on our hands, and they have been exceptionally valuable in reaching back out. They're not in my industry. They might not, they may have certain tangential experience to what we've had, but they have been a great sounding board. So I thoroughly agree on that. This brings me to a point though. Since the pandemic, what are the biggest shifts you've seen in IT channel marketing and how have you adapted your consulting to these changes?
So I don't know that it's since the pandemic, but in the last few years, I feel like a lot of the suppliers are a little bit frustrated with the TSDs. There's a lot of competition for getting attention from a TSD. If you're not spending six figures with them, it's hard for you to be able to get into events that you want to go to and things. So I'm seeing a lot more channel marketers actually work together and put on some events either for their partners with non-competitive products or maybe products from different swim lanes. So you're a CCAS provider and I'm a cybersecurity provider, and we're going to bring this cloud provider, and the three of us are going to get together and we're each going to invite 5 or 8 partners, and all of a sudden we have a great little event. And your partners get to meet me and vice versa. So I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm also seeing a big shift where the suppliers are going to the partner and throwing a customer facing event for their partners' customers. And so they're actually circumventing the whole TSD. The TSD is going to get the sales in the long run. So it doesn't actually hurt them, but it actually gets the supplier in front of the end user. And they always want to be able to tell their story because they believe they can tell their story best. And
Mhm.
so they're partnering with that technology consultant, but they're not actually dependent on them to go and tell their entire demo or story. So seeing a lot more of that end user customer events.
Nice. So you have different types of events. You talked about maybe some of the smaller ones, but then you get the real large scale events, something like Cloud Communications Alliance conferences. Are there unique strategies that you use to ensure that, your clients stand out?
You know what? It's not about what they said or what you did. It's how you made them feel. And so it's really about creating those niche experiences where people can connect with each other and have a feeling of belonging and a feeling of empowerment. And so it's about finding the right messaging, the right theme for an event, the right keynote speaker, the right activities. If you have a group of golfers, great. If you have a group of people that want to go out and do an evening cruise and do a networking social on a cruise while you're doing something, you really want to figure out what makes the group tick and then provide them with the activities that kind of help to support that. I did Mitel's partner conference this year, and we did a great thing where we let people go out along the Riverwalk. We were in San Antonio. Well, if you're going to be in a city that lends itself to letting people go and explore, do that. If you're going to go to a city where you're stuck inside the hotel, then you're going to have to create experiences inside the hotel. So whether that's a coaching cafe or roundtables or something where you're helping to provide them more interaction, but it's really about finding out the heartbeat of the group and then providing what they need.
I think that's a great point. And just looking back through the years of conferences Joe and I've been to, I know the ones that I remember, it was about an experience that I had there. So
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
that's right on the money. One of the other things I wanted to ask you about is your business relies heavily on referrals.
Mhm.
What strategies do you employ to maintain and strengthen your industry relationships? Because I'm assuming that's how you generate most of your new business.
It is, yeah. I make a point to try to reach out to people regularly. If I haven't heard from somebody, I have a call list of my favorite people. And so I will send somebody a text, hey, thinking about you. I'm a big card person. But again, you have to figure out who you are. Like my mom was a huge card person. She had drawers of greeting cards and she always could pull out the perfect greeting card for any occasion. Well, when COVID happened, I was like, I don't get to see my people. I need to start sending them cards. Think about it. When was the last time you got a card in the mail?
Hmm.
Never,
Mhm.
right? So it's a little bit
Okay.
awkward at first. Hey, Paula, can I have your address? Why? What? But then once you get over that, all of a sudden, like I have one on my desk here. I have a friend who is going through something. I just pull out a card, stamp it, send it off today. And all of a sudden, in a couple of days, she'll get something in her mail and go, wow, this person cares about me. They just cared about me enough to take the time to write the card. So I
Yeah.
think
Mhm.
whatever you can do that's genuine to you and those authentic touches are how you keep those relationships alive, right? When you're at a show, it's busy. We're all busy, but stopping in the hall, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. How are you? That genuine eye contact. You're not looking at the next person walking by. You're truly engaged with the person that's in front of you. Hey, let's go grab a coffee. But if you're going to go grab a coffee, again, if you're at one of these shows and there's a bunch of things around you, you just need to be able to figure out how you can make yourself be present for the person that's in front of you. And I think that, again, it's about how you make people feel. And I try to live that in all the different parts of my life is engaging with people in a way that it's genuine and authentic. And then hopefully when they have something, I've put enough seeds in their mind of what things I do so that when their opportunity comes up, they go, oh, Amy does that. I'm going to call Amy, and it might
Mhm.
not be the right fit for me, but I have a whole other network of other consultants and people like me out there who I could say, you know what, either I'm too slammed for this right now. Let me give you to somebody, or that's just not my number one thing. Let me introduce you to somebody who it is their number one thing and make sure that you're connected to the right people. They're probably going to remember that more because I didn't just take the business from them. I introduced them to the person that was right for them. But the next time they have something, they're going to come to me as the person that there's their resource to then introduce them to the next person, or maybe it is right for me.
I Joe and I have just done this a couple of times where an opportunity was presented to us. It is not something that's in our bailiwick. So
Right.
we ended up working with the not client and discussed, okay, here's how you can probably frame this a little better to get the right resource you're looking for. And here's a couple of suggestions of where you can go. But it's just, we wouldn't be able to do you justice with this. And now we've got a contact for life who was so
Yeah.
shocked that they were being treated ethically like that. But to your point
Right.
about cards, I started doing that back in 2017, 2018, because some people send Christmas cards or holiday cards and things. And one of the things that I noticed is that most of the people, when I started living in Europe, didn't do that. And I thought, well, this is an opportunity. Let me go just find some inexpensive holiday cards and just send them to people because people are not used to getting mail. And you're
Right.
right. It was a little weird to say, what's your home address?
Right.
But once they got through that, I have gotten so much good feedback from that because that personal touch, it was different than what they were used to, but it created a special relationship. So
Yeah.
I thoroughly agree with you.
Yeah. And it's
So
funny, like I said, my mom started it, and yet I worked at Nordstrom for a number of years. I was a men's suit manager at Nordstrom, and we were all about the thank you cards. You
Yeah.
sold your $1,500 suit for the day, and you write a thank you card. Dear Mr. Smith, thank you so much for buying from me, and I hope the next time you have an opportunity. And again, it's just kind of getting that ingrained in you that again, when people get something in the mail, they're shocked. They're surprised. Dalen Words from Comcast will always tell the story that I actually sew. My mom was also a quilter, and I sewed masks during the pandemic. And I would mail people in the little greeting card a mask. And people were like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like you're bringing your talents together. But again, it's about who you are and what you can do that's genuine and then putting that out there in the world.
That's such a great point. So you've been so generous with your time, but is there anything that we haven't covered that you think we should probably touch on?
I think so. I think we've had fun. Yeah.
I absolutely. Well, but wait,
Yeah.
it gets even better. So now we're at that part of the
bonus round.
the
bonus
podcast.
round. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well said, Joe. This is the bonus round. This is the more than mere genius questions that we ask of everybody that comes on just to get to know a little bit more about Amy, the person. So, Joe, I'll let you kick it off.
Sure. So, Amy, outside of work, what is an activity that you're passionate about?
Hiking. I did the Grand Canyon rim to rim last October. So 27 miles,
Wow.
17 hours straight. Yeah, it was a lot. But yeah, I love to go hiking.
That's impressive.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm getting winded just thinking about it. No, name one book or podcast that has inspired you.
Wow, that's a good one. I love Seth Godin. So Permission Marketing is probably one of my favorite. I love Donald Miller. I love the story brand philosophy. So those are probably two that I am favorites of.
My wife loves
Excellent.
Seth Godin.
Who was an important mentor for you at any time in your life?
Besides my parents, they're an obvious choice. I have incredible parents. Gosh, that's a really good question. I think probably one of my professional mentors is Daylin Wirtz. I mentioned her earlier. She's just been somebody that I can go to with questions and problems. And as we've developed our relationship over the years, we kind of go back and forth. And so I think she would consider the same of me. That's been a really good one for me. So I'd have to say that.
That's a great one. Which talent that you do not have would you most like to?
Play the piano.
Huh?
My dad begged me for years. We had a piano in my house growing up. It was actually a player piano. So you could pump the pedals and it would play the song on the rolls or whatever. And he begged me to take piano lessons. So piano would probably be first. Guitar would probably be a close second. But yeah.
Yeah. Music is a very popular answer
Is
to
it?
that one.
Yeah. I was a singer growing
Yeah.
up. I had vocal cord surgery about 8 years ago, so I don't sing anymore. But yeah, I always appreciated the pianist that came in and accompanied us, or the rest of the group that came in. I played the clarinet in the middle school band, so I can read music and all that. But yeah, should have stuck with the piano.
Okay. Well, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
I would probably say San Diego. Went to San Diego State, loved San Diego. Laid back attitude, beautiful weather, great beaches, great people.
Nice.
For about 6 weeks, we stayed just outside of Carlsbad working with a customer, and it is just spectacular there. So I really understand where you're coming from. What profession other than I can imagine. What profession other than yours would you love to try?
I think I would like to run a restaurant. So cooking, I think, would be baking, something along those lines. I like to feed people. I like to have people over. So yeah.
Okay. Well, when can we come over?
Whenever you want, come to Salt Lake. We have a great deck. We've got a Blackstone and a grill, and yeah.
Oh, beautiful. So I'm going to call an audible. The original question was, what's your favorite superhero? But we're going to scrap that. Now, you mentioned country music twice. So who's your favorite country music act?
Wow. So favorite is probably a guy named Mitchell Tenpenny. I really like him a lot. I joke that over the summer I went to a Mitchell Tenpenny concert, but Jordan Davis and Luke Combs happened to play after him. But yeah, I really do like him. I did go see Post Malone on Monday night, so a couple days ago. He has a new country album out. It was interesting. I was definitely on the upper end of the age spectrum while I was there. He uses the F word like a 10-year-old who's told that they're not allowed to use the F word. So like every other word, just because they think it's cool. And I was like, okay. Again, I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah. It's a rather conservative place. There's a lot of LDS people, Mormons. So it doesn't always go over really well, but he's from here. He lives here. So yeah, I would think he would know that a little bit better. But yeah, he did a good job.
Right.
His country album is really good. I thought his country album is better than his concert was.
Okay.
But he didn't bring out any like his entire country album is collaboration. So there's Chris Stapleton and Luke Combs and Blake Shelton and Brad Paisley and all these other artists, and he didn't bring anybody else out, which I thought was a little bit strange. Not even the opener to come out and do a duet with him, which a lot of people will like at least bring their opening guys out and do it. I thought that was a little odd, but yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I have seen the Wonder Woman
is
movie.
odd.
I felt a little bit not worthy of this question, but I did
That's
see
all
Wonder
right.
Woman. I also saw Wonder Woman in, like, 1984, I think it was called, or Wonder Woman 84.
Yes.
That one was terrible. But I did like the
Mhm.
first Wonder
Yes.
Woman movie. But yeah, I'm not a Marvel or DC. I couldn't tell you Marvel versus DC. I don't know which ones are part of which. I'm also not a Star Wars person, and it's like it's really nice that all the tech people let me still be part of the community, because that doesn't go over very well. I've seen a couple of them at Tolaris. We would do like movie nights, and we did a movie night with Rogue One, and I saw Empire Strikes Back. I was like 10. I went to the drive-in because my cousin was a baby, and my parents said that they'd take me to the drive-in. So we watched Empire Strikes Back. Don't really remember it, but then we went and saw Rogue One, and I was with a coworker, and he's like, "Now they're brother and sister." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that helped." Like, I didn't know any of the people, so yeah, I'm really glad that people still let me be in tech, because I don't watch Star Trek or Star Wars. I don't watch superheroes. Yeah, but I cook, so I'll bring cookies. We'll be fine.
Th-
The zucchini is exploding in
There
my
you go.
garden, so I just made zucchini bread the other night, which was fabulous. So
What is your
Yeah.
favorite sound?
waves in the ocean.
Okay. That's a good one. What is your favorite song when you're stressed or you need a lift?
So I have to choose Unusually Unusual by Lone Star, because it just makes me smile every time. The first line is, she introduced herself as Amy, said, "Call me Caroline for short." So it's all the ways that this girl is unusually unusual. My mug says Caroline on it with my logo. So yeah, I've totally embraced it. It has to be my
That's
choice.
great.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
What is the one thing you most want to be known for after you're gone?
Being kind.
That's a great one. That's a great one. That's, I think, Joe, my favorite question. It brings out the goodness of people, and it brings everyone to the same sort of place. And I love that about it.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, it was fun.
I really appreciate it. And I don't know if you want to drop your website or how people can reach you.
Absolutely. So I'm on LinkedIn, also unusuallyunusual.com. It's a lot to spell. I know, just take it slow. And channelmarketingassociation.com is where you can find us.
We'll
for
have it in the show
the
notes.
other CMA. Yeah.
Sounds great. We'll have it in the show notes. So no problem there. But
Great.
thanks so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that brings us to the end of today's conversation. Thank you for joining us. If today's discussion resonated with you, please consider giving us a 5-star review. Your feedback not only supports our show, but also helps others find us. Thank you so much for listening to MTMG's IT Roundtable. We look forward to bringing you more conversations soon. Until then, take care, and know our team is always here to help. Sláinte
MTMG, guidance that empowers.